professional wrestler's life is not easy. They have to put their bodies on the line, be on the road all the time, perform on a hectic schedule, and endure a lot of pain and injuries. Sometimes, wrestlers are able to push through the pressure, and sometimes, the pressure is just too much, and they resort to substance abuse to ease their pain. This substance abuse leads to wrestlers making a series of bad decisions and ending up facing legal action. But not all wrestlers face legal action due to their substance abuse. Sometimes you just are at the wrong place at the wrong time before committing a real-life crime. Today, we will be going through 10 WWE wrestlers who were convicted for real-life crime. Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the backbone of professional wrestling during his peak time. He was the man who made the fans tune in every week. His feud with Vince McMahon was the center of the Attitude Era, and he was the major attraction to the company. But Austin's life wasn't all high. The Rattlesnake also had to face some hardships, both inside and outside the ring. Austin got married to Deborah Marshall in 2000, and while things were happy at the start, their relationship had to face major setbacks. The Texas Rattlesnake was not happy with his role and booking in 2002, and this led to him walking out of the company. Later that year, his then-wife Deborah reported to the authorities that Austin had physically abused her after a heated argument between them, which caused her physical injuries. This news affected Austin's reputation at the time, since he was always seen as a good guy on the TV. The Texas native pleaded for a no contest, but ended up receiving a fine and community service. Austin made a mistake, acknowledged it, and tried his best to be a better man. He wanted to clean himself of the wrong deeds and opened himself to therapy and treatment. Austin eventually got himself back on track and went on to work in movies and TV shows.
Jeff Hardy! The Thrill Seeker!
Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy has always been battling his demons throughout his long career. He has been charged and arrested multiple times, and for multiple reasons. When Jeff and his brother Matt started their careers in WWE, they were known for their daredevil performances and wild movements. From the get-go, Jeff had everything in him to be the top star in the company. He had the looks, the style, and the way he connected with the fans was so natural. The only thing that pulled him back was him and his addiction. Jeff's extreme nature of wrestling often had him go through a lot of injuries, and like most wrestlers, Jeff resorted to substance abuse. This issue resulted in him being suspended multiple times from almost all the wrestling promotions he competed for. In 2009, Hardy was arrested for felony possession of opium, cocaine, and drug paraphernalia. Charges were also filed against him when the authorities found several prescription pills, anabolic steroids, powder cocaine, and drug paraphernalia from his North Carolina home. After his WWE return in 2017, Jeff was arrested for DUI and public intoxication. He left WWE and joined AEW in 2022 for a fresh start, but his demons followed him. The same year, he was once again arrested for DUI and for driving with a suspended license. Jeff got fined and sentenced to probation for his actions. After the incident, AEW released a statement stating that Jeff will have to complete his treatment and maintain sobriety, and only then he will be allowed back into the company.
A living hell! You can tell by that smirk. No.
Booker T. Booker T is a true example of people can change for the better, and your past does not determine your future. Booker wasn't always the glorious king we all know. He had a very difficult childhood and had to see his parents pass away at a very early age. Booker and his siblings were left alone to fend for themselves. The future Hall of Famer had to take responsibility for his siblings and had to provide for them. He wasn't able to make ends meet, and his family was just struggling to survive for their lives. Booker saw no other option and turned to crime and robbery during his early 20s to support his family. He joined a local gang and got arrested in 1987 for a series of armed robberies at Wendy's restaurant. The future Hall of Famer got sentenced to 5 years in prison, and this became the turning point in his life. While in prison, he reflected on his life and the things he did, took on the education program, and vowed to have a hard-earned career after his release. So after being released in 1992, he started working as a warehouse worker. During this time, his brother Stevie Ray had already started his wrestling training and asked him to join. The two brothers trained with Ivan Putski, formed a tag team, and found success in the indie circuit. The duo signed up with WCW and called themselves the Harlem Heat. This was just the start of Booker T's illustrious career, and he went on to find success in WWE. Currently, Booker T is a two-time Hall of Famer and is enjoying his life behind WWE's commentary table. Tammy Sytch, aka Sunny, is regarded as the first diva in WWE. She started her career as a manager for various tag teams like the Body Donnas and the Smoking Guns. Her charisma and good looks just helped her through her career in professional wrestling. Her rise was fast-paced, and so was her downfall. Sunny's substance abuse impacted her professional life and led her to exit the industry. Over the years, she faced multiple legal issues with DUI and violating court orders. Things were looking better for the star when she was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2011, but the very next year, she was arrested 5 times during a time of just 4 weeks for domestic violence involving her boyfriend. Sunny was struggling with alcohol in 2012 and was arrested for third-degree burglary and breaking into her ex-boyfriend's house intoxicated. This resulted in a 114-day prison sentence for the ex-WWE star, and this was just the start of her breaking the law. In 2016, 2018, and then later in 2019, Sunny was once again arrested for DUI, marking this her 7th DUI arrest. She faced multiple imprisonment for her actions and was finally released in February 2020. In 2022, Sunny was convicted of DUI manslaughter. She was involved in a car accident which resulted in the killing of a 75-year-old man. Sunny tried to fix up her act all these years, but failed every single time to maintain a sober life and made the same mistake with the law. Her crimes and run-ins with the law have sadly overshadowed her wrestling career.
On top of a ladder. No way. Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
Matt Hardy. Next up on our list is the other half of the Hardy Boys, Matt Hardy. Matt had a fair share of trouble with the law, but it wasn't as problematic as his brother, Jeff. Matt's issues with the law started in 2011, when he was arrested multiple times over a short time. On 20th of August 2011, Matt was arrested for driving while impaired and had driven his car off the road, crashing into a tree in the process. As a result, Matt was released from his TNA contract and things just went downhill for one half of the Hardy Boys. 10 days later, Matt was arrested for driving with a reworked license, and later in September of the same year, he was arrested for the possession of anabolic steroids. Matt's multiple arrests led to a 10-day imprisonment, and he was placed on probation. In January 2014, he was arrested for domestic abuse with his wife, and the two had to spend a night in jail. But this was enough for Matt. He wanted to clean up his life and went on to complete multiple rehabilitation programs. Later in 2014, Matt made his TNA return and reinvented himself with his broken character. In 2017, he went back to WWE with his brother Jeff at WrestleMania 33 and won the Raw Tag titles. Matt and Jeff are two sides of a coin. One brother was able to pull himself back in time, while the other brother is still trying to find his way out of the dark.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's almost no way out of this. Here comes the Razor's Edge.
Scott Hall. Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, is well known among the wrestling fans. You Gen Z kids might never know how cool Ramon's character was. Scott had great success in WCW and even greater success in WWE when he worked under the Razor Ramon character. He was a part of the infamous NWO faction and had multiple iconic intercontinental title runs during his tenure. Over the years, Scott had to face multiple arrests due to his alcohol and drug addiction. His substance abuse and bad behavior started in the early 2000s. In 2012, Scott was arrested for allegedly attacking a bartender and was also charged with resisting arrest after the incident. He later pleaded guilty to the charges and was sentenced to 10 days of imprisonment. However, due to his known substance abuse problem, the judge sentenced him to a medical facility for rehabilitation rather than a usual prison. This decision helped Scott to reevaluate his life and come out as a person one not controlled by his addictions. So, after completing his prison sentence, Scott took the help of Diamond Dallas Page and was introduced to DDP yoga. This opened his eyes to a new aspect of life and turned his lifestyle around for the better. Lex Luger. Lex Luger was considered a top guy even when Hulk Hogan was leading the company. He was known for his out-of-the-world physique and was a fan favorite during the 80s and the 90s. Luger first started his career in the world of football. Later in 1985, he transitioned to pro wrestling and found what he loved. Luger gained popularity and found his footing in the business after working for WCW and WWE. Luger's troubled life started in 2003 after the death of his then-girlfriend, Elizabeth Hewlett. She was found unresponsive in Luger's house and later died due to toxicity from mixing vodka and painkillers. After Elizabeth's death, Luger was arrested and charged with multiple drug possession that were found in his house. In February 2005, he was found guilty of the charges and was sentenced to 5 years of probation. He was also ordered for regular drug testing to clean up his act. Luger's steroids and drug abuse came on to haunt him, and he was paralyzed after facing a spinal stroke in 2007. He had to face a lot of challenges, but his determination and his newly found faith in God helped him with his recovery. Now, Luger works with WWE to educate wrestlers on wellness policies and save them from what he had to go through. Kurt Angle. The guy who won a medal with a broken freaking neck also broke some laws. Kurt Angle started his career as an amateur wrestler and won a gold medal at the 1996 Olympics in freestyle wrestling. In 1988, he started his pro wrestling career after signing with WWE. Kurt had trouble with prescription drugs and alcohol during the 2000s and 2010s and was arrested multiple times for DUI. In March 2011, he was arrested for being intoxicated behind wheels. He was found asleep in his car, and when an officer asked him to take a sobriety test, he failed. But according to Kurt, he was just tired and had stopped to take a nap. Kurt was later found guilty and was sentenced to a 1-year unsupervised probation. Later in 2023, Kurt was once again arrested for DUI, and this led to him enlisting himself into rehab. This decision was hugely supported by his then employer TNA, who gave him proper time off to support his recovery. Kurt came out clean, maintained sobriety, and continued to shine in his wrestling career. In 2017, Kurt Angle was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame and even got an on-screen run as the general manager of the Red brand.
Oh, you're tough.
And the all-rounder wrestler had to go through a lot of hardships in order to witness the stardom he holds today. MVP grew up in a difficult neighborhood. As a result, he was caught up in the street culture and ended up into some serious criminal activities. He was always amazed by the superstars he saw in the wrestling ring on his small TV and had a passion for the sport. But his early passion and dreams were all broken when he was arrested at the age of 16 for armed robbery and kidnapping. He was found guilty and was sentenced to 18.5 years of imprisonment. Wrestling career. He made his WWE debut in 2006 and went on to win the United States and Tag Team Championships. Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso has always been the notorious one of the two brothers, be it having a fun personality backstage or having a regular relationship with the law officials. The Samoan had troubles with alcohol, which affected both his personal and professional life. He was first arrested in 2011 for DUI after an officer found him driving irregularly in Tampa, Florida. In 2013, and then in 2021, he was arrested for DUI after his blood alcohol level was found to be more than the legal level. In 2019, while he was traveling with his wife Naomi, who was driving the car, they were pulled over by an officer for driving the wrong way on a one-way road. Jimmy apparently didn't like that he was being pulled over, so he aggressively came out of the car to confront the officer and ended up being arrested for disorderly conduct. Jimmy had his troubles, but they weren't that drastic and usually faced probation and community service for his actions. His in-ring performance performance and good relationship with the fans and the company have helped him to succeed in his career despite these setbacks. All of these wrestlers went through a lot. Some faced their problems and worked their way to the light at the end of the tunnel, while others just gave up and let the darkness consume them till there was no way back.